Hey everyone, off the Mike Sports Network here. So an interesting discussion happened in men's college basketball because I talked about it here on the channel, and maybe I'm in the minority because I understand that everybody loves March Madness because in the NCAA tournament because of the Cinderellas that happen, and the teams that we've never heard of, the schools with higher seeds next to their name, and the unpredictability of teams, making it through the tournament and creating these iconic moments and stories that we see. And there's not really a lot of that in this year's tournament. A lot of chalk. There's two 6 seeds and a 10. That's it. Like everyone else is a 1 through 5 seed. It's really been chalk in this tournament. And a lot of people are not happy with the level of predictability that has happened in this tournament. And there's been but as I said, this Sweet 16 is fucking awesome. We're gonna get nothing but bangers in the Sweet 16, in the regional rounds, the semifinals, and the finals. And we're probably going to get an outstanding Final Four because the top level of college basketball this year, specifically in the men's side, is really outstanding. Duke is a great team. Florida is a great team. Auburn, one of the best, had one of the better seasons in one of the best conferences maybe ever, winning. I think they won 15 or 16 quad one games. Houston's an outstanding team under Calvin Sampson. There are teams just all over the place in this regional round in the Sweet 16 that are just outstanding. But for whatever reason, Stephen A. Smith, and he's not the only one, but Stephen A. Smith, who has a significant platform, goes on First Take on Monday and basically says, yeah, this could be the death of the sport if this continues to be the trend and there's no Cinderellas. Leave it out the fact that Stephen A. Smith is the guy who complains every freaking year about the NBA Finals being in a significant major market, and it talks about box office and all of this. And you're mad about Cinderella not advancing? Okay, let me ask you guys this. Do you guys know the last time that a true Cinderella won the NCAA tournament? It was 40 years ago in 1985 when Villanova, as an 8 seed, won the national championship. That was considered an upset. I remember UConn about 10 years ago, 2014, they were a 7 seed up against an 8 seed Kentucky. Those weren't Cinderellas. Those were underseeded teams that were from power conferences. Villanova, technically, I guess you could say, was in a power conference, but they beat a Georgetown team that was loaded with Patrick Ewing. They beat a loaded team to win a national championship. That was a true upset. You never see upsets of this degree. You never see teams of that you've never heard of, that are true Cinderellas. Maybe Butler about 15 years ago against Duke, but they were like a 5 or 6 seed, and yeah, they came from a a mid-major league, but you're not seeing Cinderellas that are 10, 11 seeds. I remember George Mason years ago. You're not, and the numbers back this up. If you want to go with television ratings and stuff, the numbers show that Cinderellas do not draw well. You want to know why? Because at a certain point, a Cinderella team is going to run into a buzzsaw of a team that is going to blow them the F out. You guys remember St. Peter's when they went on that incredible run as a 15 seed? They ran into North Carolina, who, by the way, was an 8 seed in 2022. And North Carolina, I think, beat them by 40 in the Elite Eight. And it was one of the lowest rated Elite Eight games of all time. It is nice to see upsets and buzzer beaters in the early rounds. But if you are talking about hey, I want to see Cinderella get all the way to the championship, guys, no Cinderella is winning a national championship. I gave you the facts. The last true Cinderella to win a national championship was 40 fucking years ago. You pay to see the best of the best in this type of round. And what we are getting in the Sweet 16 of the men's basketball championship this year is freaking outstanding because the top level of college basketball is tremendous. The number 1 seeds in this tournament are elite. You have Cooper Flagg, who's going to be a number 1 pick and is a prodigy. Florida is an outstanding basketball team from top to bottom. And hell, they got tested by the national champion from the past 2 years, UConn. Auburn ran through a great SEC. Alabama's a 2 Kentucky's a 3. Like, you have brands, you have tradition, you have great coaches, you have great players. What is there to complain about? The fact that there isn't a George Mason or there isn't a Wichita State. There isn't one of these schools that you've never fucking heard of and you won't even bat an eye at in about 3 weeks when this tournament's over. I understand that it is a fad in March Madness to see, hey, the novelty of seeing something that you've never seen before or rooting for a school that you've never heard of. But those schools aren't winning a national championship. When you get to these rounds, the big boys step up. And we got a lot of heavy hitters in this round that are going to deliver great games, great drama. And also, people are going to want to watch these games because they're going to be competitive. And for people like Stephen A. Smith and, like, people who are the big pundits in college basketball complaining about the lack of drama in this tournament, guys, you are going to get nothing but bangers the rest of the way here, because all of these teams are, like I said, I say most of them outside of, a few, because you had Michigan, who's a 5. There's another 5 that I can't remember, but also Purdue, who was in the national semifinal. You've got Ole Miss a 6. You've got BYU as a 6, and they're a hell of a lot of fun. And then Arkansas has a bunch of high-level transfers with John freaking Calipari as their head coach. What is there to complain about? What is there to complain about? I don't understand it. Like, why are you all mad? This is great. This is awesome for the sport. Like, I love upsets. I love that about this tournament. But when you have good on good, that's going to create great drama. You guys didn't like this. You guys didn't like the Super Bowl. Yeah, that was the 2 best teams, but it wasn't competitive. That's what you're going to get. I'm not trying to say that, like, the Kansas City Chiefs are one of these Cinderella teams, but you get my point. The point is like, if you have an inferior team that keeps going through and pulling off upsets, at some point they're going to get picked off. It's just a basic math equation, and it's just the basic way that basketball works. At a certain point, the talent discrepancy is going to win out. Because yes, it is unpredictable, win if do or die one game at a time formula that somebody is going to get picked off. But you have to win 6 games in a row to win a national championship in this tournament. And the odds of a team that is St. Peter's, a small school in, New Jersey, or, one of these random schools that are not in a power league, it's not going to happen. It doesn't happen. And it hardly ever does. Like, the most recent champion that was above a 4 or 5 seed was UConn. And that was 10 years ago. And they were a 7. They were a 7 seed. I mean, it's just not happening. So all you people complaining about it need to shut the hell up and enjoy the ride that you're going to go on in this Sweet 16, because this is going to be awesome. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.